Hello everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com. I'm an independent Stampin Up demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US, and I'm here to bring you a live paper crafting class, which is actually a continuation of last night's video. I apologize, I'm not sure still what happened, but I did some updates to a couple of my devices. I'm hoping that does the trick. So yes, crossing fingers. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for coming back. Or thanks for tuning in if this is your first time. If you are new to my channel, I would love it if you'd say hello so we can all welcome you to the channel. Again, my name is Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com, and I love paper pumpkin. It's an addiction. I'm just so enamored with these kits, and we have our part 2 of 2 videos, the second half. So last night I attempted to do it all for the part 2, but we got cut off. And I did go back and I watched to see where we got cut off so that I can just continue with that spot there and then we'll move forward. So today is Saturday, April 25th, 2026 at 7 p.m. Central Time. Thank you, everybody. All right, so let's go down to the desktop and we'll just dive in, okay? This is where we left off. I was mentioning what items we would need in order to take the cards from the kit and turn them from 9 cards into 30. If you would like to more than triple the cards in your April 2026, what's it called again? Lakeside Retreat Paper Pumpkin Kit, then you can follow the directions for what I'm gonna do here. And I'm not gonna do it with the whole kit. I'm doing it with 3 of the cards. So again, this kit comes with the supplies to make, and I'm gonna show them to you here if I, the supplies to make 3 of 3 different kinds. So we're gonna take those supplies. So the supplies for 1 card, 2 card, 3 cards, and we're going to turn them into 10. Again, keep your fingers crossed, you guys. All right, so these are the extra supplies that you absolutely have to have. Some basic white cardstock or white cardstock and some envelopes because we're cutting into the kit envelopes. The embellishments are optional. The extra ink color is optional, but I think I had mentioned that at the end of the other video. This is the ink color that comes in the kit. And then of course extra adhesives because you're going to need to put together more than 9 cards. We're putting together 30. So I'm gonna put these aside. I'll put them back here for now. Try not to forget where they are, Rachel. And then what I was doing when I thought that you were still with me is I was cutting up this first card base. You can see how it looks when it's together, right? This is one of the card bases in the kit. It actually has, this is the front of it, and then you fold it, and this is the back. So I cut it down the middle when I thought you were watching. And we have a 4 1/4 inch little section here by 5, and that's gonna go with one of our 10 card bases. Again, we're turning 3 into 10. So we have that piece that's gonna go on one of our card bases, and I've paired that with this little scenery piece and this sentiment label. And then the next piece of the card, the second half of the card, oops, it actually goes this way, sorry. I actually cut this into 2 sections and I cut it at 1 1/4 inches so that I would get a 2.5 by 1, I'm sorry, 2 and 3, 1 3/4. 1 3/4 and then 2.5. Those are the 2 measurements for these 2 sections here. And they're both 5.5 inches tall. I didn't trim anything off. This one is gonna get paired up with this piece here and this little strip, or this strip. And then we also have one of the oars. And then the third card, and after I'd explained what I was gonna do with this piece, then I said, oh my gosh, I'm freezing. So this one gets paired up with yet a 3rd card base, the brown sign, the larger of the 2 rectangles, and then this brown sentiment strip. Okay, we're moving on, and I'm gonna stack these the way I had stacked them before so that we can do them in order. Let's move on and cut some more. And I don't see us freezing. This is good. Okay, this next piece, we're going to pick out either this end or this end. It doesn't matter. But this next card base, we're going to cut into little strips. And I want to get about 5 strips from here. So I think I'm going to cut it. I'll just start from this side. And we're going to cut between the boards. So you see the boards here. This first one is going to go down. The second one's going to come up. The third one's going to go down. Kind of like in our first video where it was called the double vision card, but we're only going to do it with 5 little strips here. So I'm going to cut so that the board that's coming up is going to include the dark gray lines on the side of it. So I'm just shifting that a little bit, and we're going to cut here. And now you can see this gray line is still connected to this piece. And then we'll cut again. So we're not doing any measurements here. We're just eyeballing it. We're going to cut another one there. And this one's going to get cut here. So that's 3 strips so far. I'm trying to keep them in order. We'll just shift them over here for a minute. And then this one is going to include the gray strip. So we'll cut here. And now with this last one, I'm actually doing a measurement. I'm going to cut from here to up here at 5.5 inches. All right. Northern Indiana's in the house. Yay. Hi, Kimberly. All right. So we're going to go to this spot and we're going to cut. So we have a 5.5 inch section here. This last board, which happens to be a pretty full looking board, we'll just add with that strip there. Okay. Then this piece we're going to cut. But first, let's take and stack these together. I'm going to grab a Post-it note. That way I can keep them in order. Stick them all together. And we're going to turn them around and just kind of put them right here. And that's going to get paired with the blue sign, the smaller rectangle, this gray board here, and this fishy. Plus we're going to cut some envelopes. So let's take an envelope right now and trim it open. We're going to cut so that we're covering that channel of the trimmer here, right? There's 2 dark edges on either side. And when you cover up this little channel section on that side, you're trimming off a 1/16 of an inch. So we'll do that on both edges. Thank you. I'm glad you guys came back. And then we're going to trim this into 2 pieces like that. All right. So we have some designer paper ready to go. Looks like I cut right on the fold. So I got a little bit of a fringe there. That's okay. When you have a super sharp blade, by the way, that doesn't happen. So my blade might be kind of wearing out. So for the other piece that we're going to cut, I think what I'm going to do is for this, I'm thinking here. I'm just going to put this over with this card because we're going to work on that first. And I'm not sure how much I want to trim it yet. So, oh, I know. I actually do know. Never mind. I lied. Okay, if we had 5.5 inches cut off from one side of our card base, then that left us with another 3 inches that was over here. So we do have an exact measurement when we go across here. So 3 inches, that makes it another 1¼ inches to get 4¼ inches. So we need to fill up that space that's going across the card. And we can do that with, gosh, we could do that with this piece here too. Which one did I use? It doesn't matter, Rachel. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut right at that fold there. There's a fold where the flap is. And then I'm going to use this side. And I'm going to cut it 1¼ inches. So we're going to use this side here. That's going to go with this card. Okay. And we can always trim up the bottom because it's not exactly 5.5 inches yet. We have to trim that. So let's keep these envelope sections here for the next one. For the next card, we are going to need one of these pieces from this. We don't want the full 5.5 by 5.5 inch section though. We want to have a section that is, and I'm going to measure on my sample one, 2 3/4. Oh yeah, that makes sense because I did cut it in half originally. I cut it in half and I have a 2 3/4 inch section for one card. And then this one I cut in half again too. So half of 2 3/4 is 1 3/8. So we're going to cut that in half at 1 3/8. All right, now let's put together the pieces that we need for this next card. We want our 2 3/4 inch piece. We want the bicycle. We want this long strip here and this sentiment piece like that. Plus we need a couple envelope sections and we're going to make those 3/4 inch, 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so we're going to take this and cut this at 3/4 of an inch. And I'm using this side of my trimmer and another 3/4 of an inch. So we have 2 blue strips, 3/4 of an inch plus 3/4 of an inch. If you want to have a math lesson today is 1 1/2. And 1.5 plus 2 3/4 is 4 1/4. So we're going to fill up the front of that card with that one. Next, these 2 strips. So we're going to pull out this piece here and we're going to cut that next. That one is going to get cut to 3/8 of an inch 4 times. All right, so we're going to cut at 3/8 of an inch. This size strip, by the way, it can be bigger or narrower or whatever, but this gave me the most out of this. The reason why I cut this size is because it's perfect for our seal adhesive. So I'm going to do that again 3 more times. Have any of you used up your whole kit yet? I hope not. I hope some of these ideas inspire you and you want to do them with the rest of your kit. Now, if you don't have this kit, you can become a subscriber now and get the refill kit so that you can have the consumable components of this kit with you. So there's our 4 strips. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to pair up these 2 together with a card base. We're going to cut this in half. We're going to do that now. It's pecan pie on one side, white on the other. I'm just going to go ahead and cut it in half. I mean, you can measure it if you want to, but it's about, I don't know, like a little over 1 3/4 inches, I believe. So we're just going to cut, and I'm going to go gently on the end here because it's got that decorative little end, and I don't want to push into it and bust it. So I kind of hopped over it, cut backwards, and now we're cutting through again. We have 2 separate little, I don't know, they kind of look like sunshines to me. So we have that for this card, and then we need envelope pieces again. So we're going to pull out a couple more envelopes. And I told you I wasn't going to cut all 3, but I think I am, because what I have left on this one is not enough. So we're going to go ahead and open up these envelopes. And while I do that, I can talk to you more about these kits if they're new to you. Paper Pumpkin has been around since March of 2013. And these kits come to you directly in the mail. In the US, they are $29. Oh, I do need to replace that blade, don't I? $29 plus tax. The shipping's included with the cost of the kit. Let me measure really quick here too. I want to make sure I get the right amount. We're going to do 3 inches for this, and there's going to be a bit of overlap, but should I replace my blade, you guys? I think I will. All right, so we only need that from that envelope, and then we'll do a similar card, because these 2 are going to be like twins. We're going to have twin cards here. So this one is going to get another layer here. I was going to change my blade. Hang on. All right, for the blade change, you get out your blades. And then what I like to do is get my scissors and cut this into 4 sections and put them back into my baggie. I pull out this blade from the little plastic protector thingy, and I just poked myself. I pull it out of there, and then I slide this one up and out from the bottom little section there. There's like a wider hole there, and then you're gonna poke, you're gonna kind of like airplane it in. Oops, you can't see. Airplane it in like it's flying into the into the little framework here. You're gonna fly it in there, kind of get it to flatten out, and now you're set. This is gonna go back onto that plastic piece and go in the garbage so that, oh, I guess I didn't cut myself, yay. So that nobody will hurt themselves on the garbage, right? All right, so then this can go back in my drawer of unused blades. Let's go back to trimming. All right, so $29 plus tax in the US. You get all the consumables you need to make the projects that are choreographed for you. You get the directions, you get a little mini ink pad, you get adhesives, you get embellishments, you get stamps. You get everything you need except for a scissors. The only thing you really need is a scissors if you're gonna go ahead and do the cards as choreographed. So it's a really great value, and I highly encourage you to try it if you never have. Okay, so we have a 3-inch piece here for this card, and now we have our twinsies ready. I'm gonna go ahead and put these off to the side. And then we have 2 more cards to prepare. 3 more cards, sorry. Were you guys counting? That was number 7. Okay, for number 8, we are going to cut this in half at that score line. I'm just gonna go to the 4 1/4 inch mark here, cut it in half. What a nice blade, it works. And then I'm gonna cut this one in half at 2 1/8. So we have those two. These are gonna get paired up like that. But let's go back to this one. Oh wait, sorry, this is gonna go with this one. I lied. These are gonna go with this one. And then this piece, I guess we're cutting 2 more. I forgot, there are 6. We want 6, so we're gonna do another 3/8. Ha, these are going with one of those. And then another 3/8. And what you should end up with is about 1.5 inches of white. We're gonna flip that one over, and that's gonna go with this. We're gonna pair it with the life jacket and the oar, and of course a card base. And then our last 2 are also twinsies, and they are gonna get paired with this circle. So we're gonna cut this circle in half. It's got a beautiful scene of a cabin on kind of like an island or a peninsula. And if you cover up one side, you still see that full cabin. If you cover up the other side, you still see a full looking cabin. Like, they made it perfect for us, for those of us that want to cut it in half. So just make sure that your horizon here and your trees are kind of going the right way. You don't want to cut it diagonally. And we're going to cut that in half between the cabins. We're not going to worry about measurements. We're just going to make sure that we're cutting it so that our cabin is going to get split into 2 equal looking portions. Okay, that looks about right. So 1 cabin with 1 card, 1 cabin with the other. What do we have left? We have these envelope pieces, perfect for doing, you know, anything with. They're like designer paper stuff with, right? So don't throw them away, because you'll still be able to use it. And then we also get 1/3 of the embellishments. Remember, your strip of embellishments comes with 3 rows of these. So I will be keeping this one up here. Plus I told you that we're also going to be using the linen thread, which I think I have back here now. Yep, the linen thread and these extra embellishments, because I added in extra embellishments. So we'll just keep those in that spot. We have our 2 ink pads ready. We have our stamps ready. And we are ready to roll. So let me look at my first design, flip all of these over, and I'll show you how to assemble most of them. If, like, once we get going, you'll be able to see kind of the, you know, the steps of stamping, the steps of assembling, you know, so I can show you finished ones as we go and just give you tips, because I do have one other thing that I want to share with you tonight, and I don't want to keep you for a whole lot longer because we only had a half hour when we left before. So I'm going to try to make this quick tonight, but thank you everybody for tuning in again. I'm so excited. All right, so we have our card base. When you look at your card base, you want to look at the area where it opens and see if you can see both sides or both edges from one side or the other. This side I can, so that's going to be the back of my card. I'm going to add this to the front. You could do it with glue, multi-purpose liquid glue, or you can use seal adhesive, or, you know, your kit comes with, let me pull that out. Oh, my trimmer is going to fall. It comes with, hang on. Maybe I pulled them out already. Oh, here it is. It comes with adhesive, like little tape. And then of course you have dimensionals too, but you have your own tape in this kit too. It's awesome. All right, let us stick this down. And I definitely want to cover up my folded edge here and make sure that that's all connected. And then if anything comes off extra, you can flip it over and trim it. Or if it doesn't go up to that edge, you can trim the white. Does that make sense? So you don't want to have to trim your folded edge. This piece is going to go up onto dimensionals, but we're going to stamp it first because we have so many really cool stamps in this set as far as sentiments go, and we have some images that are pretty neat. We have birds, we have this fun decorative, looks like a rope pattern, and then we have the weeds and cattails. So I'm going to use the birds. I'm just going to test on the paper here. We're going to use the green ink with this, the Peaceful Pine, which is a new color. It's debuting on May 5th. Demonstrators can get it in their hands, but not customers yet. You will be able to do that on May 5th. So we're going to stamp onto this piece here with some birdies. ink, 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 stamp. And then we're going to stamp with our sentiment that says, "You are an inspiration." I'm just checking because I'm not sure if I cleaned these the last time I used them. But we'll stamp that also in green onto our sentiment strip. And we're stamping it right in the middle. So not left justified, not right justified, just centered. And then what we'll do is we'll add this piece. And if you don't have enough dimensionals because you don't have it, you know, you're not investing in more than what you have in the kit, you can either cut them in half or you can get more, or you could put this down flat. I'm going to go ahead and dive into the dimensionals that I already have on hand. I'm just not opening up my kit dimensionals. I don't know why. But these are larger size. Either kind of dimensional should work. You're just raising that up onto about 1/16 of an inch so that you have this shadow that kind of darkens behind the layer there. And then this piece, we'll grab our smaller dimensionals and we'll add a couple of those, and we're going to do them somewhat in the middle so that we have a little bit that can kind of hang over the side here. Let me pull those off. And then we have a really fun addition to this that's not necessary. I told you don't have to have this, but I think it really adds a lot to it. So we're going to put that right here. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit because I don't want these two dimensionals to compete with each other on this card when you're mailing it. When you're mailing it, you have a dimensional under this corner, you have a dimensional here, and you don't want them to kind of be stacked on top of each other. So just shift it down enough where you can feel a dimensional here and here. Okay, so there's that. But then why not add some linen thread, right? I mean, this looks good, right? But why not add some linen thread to give it a little bit more texture? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out about 16 inches, fold it in half. Okay, so I have 2 strands to make it a little thicker. Then I'm just going to do a little bow with that. Linen thread is one of those textiles that you do get in your paper pumpkin kits every so often. And you don't have to use it up on every card. Like you can, they tell you a generous amount when they're, you know, saying, you know, use 12 inches. And they're like, you don't need a full 12 inches. So you might have some extra on hand from past kits, but you can also get that in the online store. All of the products that I'm using are linked in the description of the video, unless they're not available yet, you know, because May 5th, I'm showing some May 5th products, okay? Isn't this green plaid pretty? By the way, this kit coordinates with a suite. I did list a couple pieces that are in the suite because I'm going to bring those in for the scrapbook page. But see, look at how much that adds to the card. And then on the inside, you could put thanks because there's a thanks stamp, or, you know, whatever it is that you want to put on the inside of that card. The next one, we'll pull this out, and we're going to start with the strip because we're going to have this a left justified look. We're going to add that with dimensionals. So I'm going to put 4 along here, 2 in the corners. Oops, 2 in the corner. And then we have, oh, I forgot to embellish that last one too. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. All right, so we have dimensionals going along here. You don't have to do a full fill in, but this should be enough. Let's check to see what the front and back is. And I'm going to go about 1/8 of an inch away from that edge. So there's that. Then we're going to add this flat. So we're going to use our seal adhesive, a little strip in each corner, and lay that close to your plaid strip like this. And because we have a canoe here up against a dock, we're just going to prop our little oar there too. So let's take our dimensionals. And I think for this one, I can just add a little bit of glue behind the handle. So I'm just going to use 1 dimensional and stick this as if it's propping from the dock against this little piece here. And then let's take our glue, and I've got it in my precision tip bottle. I'm just going to put a little dot under here and connect the top of the paddle to that spot. Then let's stamp. We can stamp our birds again. Might as well do that. We had to stamp the birds on the other piece before we put it down because it was up on dimensionals. For this one here, it's flat, so we can stamp it now. There's that. And then we're also going to stamp Happy Birthday, because this looks like a great birthday card for someone who loves being up north or on the dock or whatever. We'll stamp that over here. And then you can put your message on the inside. For these first two cards, I did forget my embellishments on the first one, so let me bring that back in. This is where I would use the pebbles because we have some great scenes here, and I think the pebbles work great for these scenery pieces. So on the first one, I used 3. I did a thick one, right kind of in this spot, and then I did a thin one next to it, sort of like this, like that. And then I had one down here. Oh yeah, that was another thick one, right in that spot. So now that card's finished. And then on this one, I did 3 also. I did a thick that was kind of right underneath this. Oops, I have to turn it to get it to tuck under there. And you could use a tweezers to take your pick tool. I'm just using my fingers. I did a thin one right next to it, as if we have rocks on the dock. Rocks on the dock, that rhymes. And then this one goes right here, okay? All right, the next card. The next card has a really fun feel to it because we're gonna take the twine and do something different on this piece. We're going to take and get a little start going on here with our twine and put a dimensional there, one of the tinier ones, kit size, the size that came in the kit. And then we're gonna do a little bit of a wrap onto this piece, kind of going wide or narrow, back and forth until we get to about here. We'll trim that off. And then we'll add another dimensional in that spot to hold it still. Right there. So we have our 2 dimensionals holding onto our ribbon. On the front, you see a wrap, and you can put like another dimensional in here just to give it some balance. For this card, I would stamp the trees up here and stamp Happy Birthday on this piece, but I'm going to leave room because I want to have a place for who I'm giving this card to. And this one's going to be more personal. I'll bring the Stampin' Pierce mat out here again so you can see against, compared to the white background. So we're going to stamp Happy Birthday, leave a little bit of room at the bottom. This stamp set comes with the word SON, son, and DAD, dad. So if you want to give this card as a birthday card to your dad or your son, you can. Yay. We'll ink that up and stamp that right underneath. And now we have a personalized card for dad. And then for this one here, let's add birds again because we have a scene. So let's just stamp those right in that spot. For putting this card together, you're going to take your base, you're going to add this to it flat. You're going to put these up on dimensionals just like this is. And this is going to go flat, and your card is going to turn out like this. So this card has the scenery off to the left. It's about 1/4 inch away from this folded edge. And then we have this coming in from the side. I trimmed off the rounded end. And then I stuck the sign underneath it so it was in alignment with the end of the pole here that was been wrapped with rope. A few pebbles down here, about 4 of them, which takes care of the last of your pebbles. So that's why I went to using extra embellishments on the other cards. So I will just take and stack these and finish that card later. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3 cards done. For the 4th card, for this one here, we're going to take and keep these all together. I'm going to flip them. I'm going to start putting them on here. I'll just use a little bit of temporary adhesive, I guess. And I think I have it all the way to the edge. I do. So all the way to the edge. And then this piece is going to go on right next to it. And we're just going to do that whole stagger kind of double vision thing that we did in the first video, video 1 of 2. So I'm just aligning these all along here. Yeah, I'll just put it on right there and then flip that over. Okay, and then we're gonna take the envelope paper and stick that down so we can fill up the whole front of this card. And we may have to tuck this, we may not, I'm not sure, let's see. Nope, it's perfect. If you want to, you can cut extra so that you can overlap, you know, and not have to worry about preciseness. But we're just gonna take and put that in here, right up to the edge. And that fills in that spot. Turn your card over, trim up any excess. Let's go ahead and clean off our stamps because we want to use the birds in a blue color now. So I'm gonna switch to my Misty Moonlight ink. And we'll stamp some birds in the upper corner. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift up these two. Actually, you know what? Let's do the flat ones first. Let's just go ahead and adhere these with permanent adhesive where they need to go. And then we'll do our lifted ones. I think that would be easier. So 1, 2, and 3. And we'll set those in place. Glass embellishments. You know what they did have? They had a sea glass one, and then they had pebbles at one point. So yeah, you guys are reminiscing about embellishments that Stampin' Up used to carry. Pull those out, you guys. Those would go great with this kit. And then this is going to go up on dimensionals. So we will grab our bigger ones just because they cover faster. I could do 4. I'm just going to do 3 for now to go faster. Plus, I do have some embellishments that are going to go on top of this. So I want to make sure that I have kind of like some space here that's not a dimensional section, right? Because we don't want to have 2 dimensionals stacked. Let's flip that and add 3 again. Just always be aware of where you're going to be putting your extra lifting adhesives so that you're not stacking them. And that's going to go here. And then this piece right here is going to go across, and it's going to start like about here and stick out. So let's go ahead and add that by putting a bit of adhesive underneath. And let's do a dimensional there too. I'm going to use a smaller one. Put a dimensional right here, and then we'll do another bit of glue. We'll lift that off. Let's do a dimensional underneath here. And one more right around there. Okay, because you can see I'm going to have lift here, and then these are already lifted. So I just needed glue on those sections. And then we'll peel off the backings here. My fingernail's not working. Okay, so that's going to go straight across like this. And it's making a pole on this fence. Now we take and stamp this, and we're going to do Happy Father's Day. And we'll do that in, let's do that in green. Let's just mix the colors on this card, shall we? So we want to do some green ink, Peaceful Pine, and we'll stamp that onto here, somewhat centered. You could put Dad or Son underneath it, but I'm not going to. Let's take and add this to our blue sign. And then we'll put dimensionals on the back side of that. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So when I create with these kits in my videos, I don't use the miniature ink pad, but you do, like I said, you receive a little tiny ink spot with this. But I like to pull out my big inks for this. I bring out my own adhesives to make it go faster, but you can definitely dive into the adhesives that you got. That's almost done. The last thing that I want to do is add this and some embellishments. So because I'm going to add it up here, I'm going to go ahead and put a small one at the very top. Back side, add a little bit of glue here. And then we're just going to connect that to the top of our sign. So we have a little fish hanging onto that sign. And then let's pull out those embellishments. Those were behind me. No, they're right here. And the Take Your Pick tool, which is right here. Okay. And we're going to just take and add a few of the dark blue ones as if they are like nails or, I don't know, screws or something. They're holding on to these two pieces of wood that are sticking out. So there's that card. Fun, fun, fun. I love doing this, you guys. Okay, the next card involves, and I'm going to put this over here so I can grab the pieces. It involves the bicycle and these other strips. So now I'm going to go a little faster because you kind of have some of the basic steps down, right? So I'm going to explain things more so than showing. These two strips are going to get glued to the sides. This one's going to be adhered in the middle up on dimensionals. So the middle piece is raised, and then we're going to add this going across with a couple little embellishments on the end. So we don't want to put any dimensionals under here, even though it's raised up on a higher level, because we want those embellishments to be able to have some room in the envelope when we mail it. So you're just going to adhere this straight onto here with seal or glue. Then the bicycle is going to get added with dimensionals up on top. But because you're only putting dimensionals in the four corners and maybe up here, this bicycle is not going to compete, and you're going to be able to, you know, have nothing under, no dimensionals underneath this area where the bike is. Okay, so you want that to pop up, this to pop up, but be able to flatten down in your envelope. For this piece, you're going to stamp the word thanks on here, put dimensionals on this end, the rounded end, and just some glue across the top so that it's angled and it's sticking down more like that. And then we'll add a clump of linen thread in a bow above, and it's going to turn out to be like this. So this is the, how many cards is this? This is number 5, I think. Number 5. So you have a thank you card with a bicycle on it, as if it's on a dock. I don't know, that could be the water. It's just kind of cute that way, I think. So, and then these are the two blue embellishments from this pack, the bigger ones, okay? Yay. All right, and then the twins. So we have twin cards. Let me pull those out again. So you had the same pieces for each of these cards, and these are pretty easy to show. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the card in and explain it as we go. So everything is flat on this card. There's no dimensionals, okay? So nothing's sticking up. I first put the background sky on, then I stuck this combination pair here. You want to probably put adhesive back here and then adhere it to this strip, and then you can stick the whole thing down on top, okay? So that's going to go here and fill up that space. There is a little bit of an overlap on this, which I think helps. So if, again, if you want to go backwards on the other cards and just add a little bit more inches, you totally can, just to have overlap. And then this is just half of the circle. I stuck it on here first, and then I stamped and stamped. I stamped the You Are an Inspiration first because that's closest to this edge. And so I stamped that first, and then I went above and stamped thanks. Put some embellishments on here. Those are the clear. And then I stamped the birds up in the corner and added a bow. So that one and this one. You can do them both on the same side if you want to. I just happen to do one on one side and one on the other, just, you know, so they look like siblings, right? They're twins. They're twin cards, but they're not exactly the same. And then the next card. This one's really fun in that I really was struggling with it at first. And then when I finally figured out the design of it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is totally easy. So this whole piece here is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. This was half of our card base that we had. So that's going to cover the whole front, just like most of our other pieces are doing. I don't have that border going around, do I? This piece we're using on the white side, and I just added, like I was explaining before, you're just going to take your adhesive, run it along, take your piece, turn your white layer over, and connect so that you're getting that edge all the way along there nice and even. I have about a eighth of an inch showing, maybe even less. I don't know. It's about an eighth of an inch on the top and bottom. Once that's done, then you can take and put dimensionals along here to try to cover up that adhesive, or you can put it on flat. I think I was more careful on my one that I did have that's a sample, and I don't have any adhesive sticking out here. But if you do have adhesive sticking out there, you'll want to cover it. You'll maybe put a scrap paper behind there, or you can just be more careful about, I think I probably did glue. Instead of seal, I probably went along the edge with glue. Okay, I don't know, it's been 2 days since I've created it. That's gonna go on here, again, either on dimensionals or flat. Once it's on there, then you can take and stamp your, oh, actually, before it's on there, in case you're using dimensionals, stamp "You Are a Lifesaver," add your life jacket, add your oar, and I think I added them kind of like this, and this is where the words are. And then I added more of the linen thread because it was stinking cute on this card too. So I just kind of added it right in this area, and the card I came up with is this. Isn't that fun? I love the look of this one. It's one of my favorites, and I really struggled with it for a long time. I'm like, I only have these pieces left. How am I going to do this? But I think it looks really cute, and I love the sentiment to go with the life jacket. I think that's perfect. Once I added that linen thread in this card, I added linen thread to the other ones. This is where I said, oh my gosh, I just need something else, and I pulled the linen thread in, and it just kind of gives you that rope kind of feeling, right? Okay, all right, last cards. Last cards are also twins. After I show you how to make these, then I'm going to just introduce you to the scrapbook page elements that I'm using, give you some tips on them, and then in a future post that you will see on my website at stampyourartout.com, if you're a subscriber, then you will be able to catch the page layout or the page. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a full 2 pages yet or just a single 12 by 12. Depends on how much time I have. But for these, they're pretty easy to do too. You're going to take and layer. Here's the fold. So you're going to layer. And this is going to go underneath with that little trick. And because we're doing it flat, it doesn't matter if you do seal or glue. So that's going to go here. And then this piece is going to go flat against it like that, as if it's covering up part of the circle. Same thing on this one, but because we have our circle going in this direction, I mean, you could put it like that, but I'm going to shift my stripes over to the open side and go like that, so that this card opens like this, and this card opens like that. And when you're done, they look like this. Easy peasy. Older, better, older, wiser, better. I love that for a birthday card sentiment. It's a great one to use. And yeah, I just added the green embellishments because I used the blue already. I used the clear. So yeah, kind of like fishing netting. Is that what you're thinking? But yeah, and then the green ones are on here because I didn't use the green one yet, but the green ones match with the trees. Oh no, my alarm is going off. Hang on. You know, when you put things on silent, you think that your alarms won't go off, but they do. They do. Sorry about that. All right. And I could have let it keep going because I don't think you guys could hear it, but it would have been a vibrating camera. All right. So let's look at all the finished cards in that more than triple collection. And I'm going to zoom out a bit. Let's take a peek at all these. So we have these guys here. We'll put them like this so they can overlap more. We have that one. We have these two, which look like twins also. We have the bicycle one. This is a favorite of mine too. I know a lot of you commented on that one. And then this one with the rope on there, I think is super cute. And then we have those. So 3 cards turned into 10. You can more than triple your kit. Let me show you now the last ideas that I have for you. I'm going to bring in some pieces here and some products. These products, hang on, I'm still grabbing stuff. These products come from the new May through August catalog. the Relaxing Waterside bundle, which is dies and stamps, coordinate with the Waterside Retreat designer paper. I'm trying to think what else goes in here. I don't remember the other pieces, but it's from a suite. I'm going to be using these pieces. I'm also going to be using some other dies because it's a scrapbook page. I'm bringing in the party alphabet dies, so these big, huge things, because when I saw this piece in the kit, which I've now colored a little bit, as you can see, it's a little darker, it looked like a giant O, the letter O. And I said to myself, oh, what words go, what kind of words have the letter O in it, that like a short word that you could use for a scrapbook page? And I came up with this one because my mom and dad live up north at their cabin now. So for us, it's home. It's not the cabin anymore, it's home, right? So those pieces are gonna go onto the pages or page. I've got this piece also from the kit, and I've added some brown edging to this too. Learned that idea from Jennifer Smith, awesome. So it really makes the pieces stand out more when you can take and do some edging. So I tried her idea and I'm really loving it. I love it every time I see her pages. But all of these are die cut from pecan pie cardstock, except for the O and the design there. But I just took pecan pie, or pecan, or however you want to say it. I cut my letters out. I cut my chair piece out. So I have a chair that's also cut from the dies in this bundle here. There's some Adirondack type chairs in there. So I assembled my chair. And then I also cut from these coordinating dies that go with this kit and the next 2 months. So it's called Wonderful Scenes Dies. These are the dies you get. And this is what they look like. Okay, so you have a little celebration, like 4th of July, fireworks, that's what it's called, fireworks. You have fireworks in there, which gives you some little tiny stars. You have flowers, you have butterflies, you have this sign, which when you die cut it, you have these extra pieces too. And then you have the word wonderful. So I took my word wonderful, die cut that from the pecan pie cardstock also. So here's the light side, and I actually did some sponging on that too. I used a dauber and early espresso ink. And I'm going to pull out a scrap, here it is, a scrap piece of scrap, a scrap piece of scrap. And I'm just going to demonstrate. So for the wonderful, I just kind of pounced on top, right, to get the browns in there. For the letters, I kind of did the same thing. I pounced here and there, and then I edged it like this all the way around, keeping it nice and stiff, went all the way around. For this piece, did the edges all the way around, did a little bit of pouncing. For this piece, I did the edges. So let me demonstrate that with the chair. So you're going to take and put your dauber on your finger, and then you can take and do some pouncing in here, get some colors. You can also do kind of a circular motion. You got to be careful though, because these can be fragile. There's lots of little elements to it, but you can come in and, you know, make certain areas darker than others and just give it more of a texture, kind of a 3D look that way when you're bringing some darkness in here and there, right? So now we have 2 Adirondack chairs for my pages. I've also done some of that on my sign, and I'm going to be adding in, I'm sure that I am. I'm going to be bringing in the oars, a couple of oars in here, the fish on a plaque. I probably will use this too. And I think there was something, I was going to do something with this. I don't know. But those are the elements I'm working with right now. And I'm not sure what other products I'll be bringing in. But for this set of pages, or this page, I'm starting with the elements and then creating as I go out. Sometimes I start with a whole page, like I look at a set of designer papers and I say to myself, oh, this one here would be really great, here it is, as a scrapbook page itself. So now I'm going to add some photos that I took of us bird watching, let's say, and I'll put those on here. and then I'll build some elements around it. There's so many directions you can go when creating, and you know that as card makers, right? Sometimes you have a little piece and you just want to like create it, and then you're like, what can I build around it? Sometimes you see a beautiful paper, or you know of a fun fold that you want to do, and you start with the base and then you put the elements into it. So, or maybe you start with a color combo. I don't know, there's all different things that give us inspiration, and we start where we start, and then we create in whatever direction we need to keep going. So I hope that you come back to visit that page that I create with all of these little elements. Cannot wait for that. It's going to be fun. I figured once I was bringing these letters in, I might as well add some die cutting to it. So of course the die cutting machine, the extra set of dies. This one is not typically for like a lot of Paper Pumpkin subscribers that don't have, you know, all those crafting pieces and stuff. But hopefully you'll get inspiration from it anyways. Maybe you'll become a scrapbooker. I don't know. So did we have fun tonight? We almost went to an hour, you guys. I can't believe it. Last night's would have been over an hour, I guess. Any questions? I'm going to ask that right now. And I'm going to peek at the comments. I went through some of the comments the other day on one of my lives, and I was going to refer to them. But Trisha, she's so amazing. She answers everybody's questions. So as I see a question, she grabs it and she answers it. So I think all of the questions in past videos have been answered by her. But if you ever have a question, you can reach out to me personally too. I always have my emails in the description of my video. You can reach out that way. All right, so as we're finishing up, just want to talk about the fact that I am having an April ordering special. So if you are not a demonstrator and you're not ordering from somebody else and you want to order product through me, a $50 order always gets you the All-Star video and a loyalty point, right? So if you place a $100 order, you get the All-Star video link and 2 loyalty points, 150, 3 loyalty points in the All-Star video, right? It goes that way. I'm gifting my customers that place $200 or more this month because I'm celebrating an achievement, and some of you have been complimenting me on that achievement in the past few videos, and I haven't really acknowledged it too much. I mentioned at the beginning of April because I was going to get there, but I didn't know when, and I achieved it on April 15th. Less than 1% of all demonstrators get to these levels, so I have to put that little disclaimer in there, but I reached my 2 million in career sales April 15th, and I'm super excited. And so to celebrate, I'm having that April special. You can go to my blog post link that's in the description of the video when it goes live in like 20 minutes, and you'll be able to scroll down to the bottom. Actually, I don't think I need to put it in the bottom. Anyways, it's going to be in there in 20 minutes, but it's a link to that information on the ordering special. Otherwise, typically all my promotional information things are at the bottom of every post, but in this post, you'll be able to see these 2 videos, one from last night and one from today. I can't believe it, you guys, we made it through. It didn't glitch on us tonight. I really think it was probably the updates that I needed to do. Anyways, oh my goodness. I'll try to update every time I see an announcement, right? Update your laptop, update your phone. But yeah, so in the description of the video, you can get to that blog post. You'll see the video. You'll see photos of these projects. You'll see the link to the last video also on Wednesday, so that you can see the other alternate projects that I created. Oh, some of you were asking about the new, I shouldn't say the new, but the fact that the inserts were taken away. And I did talk about that, this change in how your instruction booklets are. I talked about that in my Wednesday video. So go back to the Wednesday video so you can see what I shared in that. I don't see any question marks, you guys. If I'm not seeing question marks, I'm assuming there are no questions. Oh, maybe this is one. Oh, no, just have this much. Oh, I thought you were asking how much, but you were saying, how do you have this much energy? I get energetic about paper pumpkin. I love paper crafting. I don't know, I'm obsessed. 26 years, you guys. Hurrah! And yes, a big thanks to Julie Smith, Julie Wolf, I guess. That's her married name, sorry. But she was the one who had my Stampin' Up party for me years and years ago. Not for me, but she hosted. I went there and I was hooked. So yay. So thanks, Julie. And what else? I'm not seeing questions, so I think we're gonna go. You guys take care. Don't forget to check out the products below Order if you would like to. Try to think if there's any other things I haven't talked about. Upcoming lives, I guess I didn't mention that. I do like to do this little stalling at the end just in case people have questions because there's that delay. But upcoming lives, there's a link to the calendar also in the description, and you'll be able to see when I'm doing my next live, which I believe is next Wednesday. So hope you come back for that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, thumbs up, share the video, all that jazz. Okay, thanks everybody. I'm gonna let you all go. Take care everyone. And now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.